Welcome to another performance of On the Books. This is your host, Norm Constantine, here with my good friend and Bowie author, Jim Brown.
Thanks,
Welcome
Norm.
today.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
And today, Jim is a prize-winning author. And tell us a little bit about that novel again.
Okay. That was River Magic. It won the award for Best Young Adult Fiction of 2012. I've got a sequel that isn't ready yet, and I've got other books that are coming out. But that was the big one.
And now you've, for at least for the present, you've left the genre of...
Yes, I have. But I will go back to it because I got sequels that are mostly written and they need to be finished.
Just one little quick question.
Sure.
The difference between alternate history and history.
Alternate history is a history that is contrary to what you read in the history books. In my book, for instance, takes place in 1820. Slavery has already been abolished with the establishment of the Constitution. That obviously has major impacts on the world that the characters live in. But yeah, that's a perfect example.
Okay, and the alternate history writers, you don't particularly care whether or not that would have been a real possibility.
Usually not.
Okay.
Although there has to be some slight plausibility. Like there's a whole series of books dealing with if the Nazis had won World War II.
Right.
And realistically, that couldn't have happened. They didn't have the resources the rest of the world had. But, you know, militarily they might have if everybody else got lazy.
I don't know. The Russian surrender at Stalingrad, and we got a whole new war.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's very interesting. Who's the great alternate history writer?
Turtle Dove.
Turtle Dove, yes. He writes the South had won the Civil War. And that would have been actually pretty hard to happen also. And do you read Turtle Dove? I'm just
Yes, I do. I have read most of his stuff.
Okay. Now, Turtle Dove's a traditional publisher.
Yes.
And that brings us to our main topic for the day. You're a self-publisher.
Yes.
Have you ever published anything traditionally?
Only magazine articles in technical journals.
Okay, so your fiction writing
Is all self-published.
is all self-published. And we've been over in a previous show why that is. Tell us why you self-publish.
Mostly for control and a better royalty structure.
Okay, now that brings us to our principal question. And this is for all you writers out there in Bowie and anywhere else, actually, that you may be watching the show. Better royalty structure. Can you make money self-publishing?
Now that is an excellent question, Norm, and the answer is yes. Let me start out and say, first of all, it's a sad fact that most writers, whether they're self-published or traditionally published, do not make any money. But of course, money isn't the only reason to write a book and to have it published, either traditionally or self-published. For instance, if you're writing a family memoir, that's a book that's very important to you and very important to your family, but it might be a book that nobody else cares about.
Right, but it doesn't buy groceries in
No, it doesn't
Giant.
buy groceries. So your question is, can you make money? Real serious money? And the answer is yes, you can. You probably won't, but you could. And the fact is that most traditional published authors don't make money either. In self-publishing, you can. I checked this morning to see who was the #1 bestseller on Amazon's Kindle store, and it's John Grisham's The Tumor. That's traditional published.
The what? I'm sorry.
The Tumor. It's a non-legal thriller.
Okay, it's new then.
Yeah, that's in #1. However, in #2 is Spilled Milk, a memoir by a lady named K.I. Randis. Now, if she's #2, how many books is she selling? She's self-published. She is selling over 3,000 books a day.
3,000 books a day?
Yes. Now, she's not going to
At a couple dollars a book? Well, right around
for
there.
her, For her, she's selling her book at $4.99, so her royalty is about $3.50. Yeah, about $3.50 if her book is selling at $4.99.
So let's just say $3. That's $18,000 or $9,000 a day.
Yes.
$63,000 a week.
Yes. And she'll probably be up there.
$252,000 a month.
Now, she probably won't stay at number 2 all month, although she might, because her book was published in 2013.
Any chance to become number 1?
Yeah, it could. If people keep buying it. I mean, it's cheaper than John Grisham's book. If you've got limited dollars.
Now, is she making more than he is, probably?
Yes, she absolutely is. On that book.
On that book.
Which is her only book. He's got a whole bunch of books.
He doesn't practice law anymore. Does she work?
I have no idea.
Okay.
But I mean, to get it, so there's a perfect example just from today. But in the past, there haven't been any real numbers as to how much money authors are earning until now.
Why is her book so popular?
I have no idea. I haven't looked at it. All I did was see its position so that I could mention it here today.
Now, self-publishing.
But that is a good question.
Self-publishing. How does it bring the price of all books down?
I don't think so. Well, I don't know. I really don't know. For ebooks, I think it does. But then ebooks inherently should be cheaper in my mind. And readers think that too. And most self-published authors think so. Because an ebook is not something you can leave to your grandkids. It's something ephemeral. It's not something you can get the author to sign on the front piece. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have, you can't kill bugs with it.
Now, there's an in-between time, or an in-between kind of book. I don't know what you would call this, but do you know The Book Machine at Politics and Prose?
Yes, I have seen that. Well, now that's just a normal paperback book, but it's published on demand. And in fact, Amazon, if you want to be a published author on Amazon, you have 2 choices. One is the ebook, and the other is the paperback.
Could you choose both?
You absolutely can, and you should, because it costs you nothing to do both.
Well, I just was wondering.
And the Amazon paperbacks are printed on demand. All my books are available in paperback. If you go and you order one, Amazon does not keep a stack.
Right, no, I know.
As you order it, they will print it out just like that book machine that you mentioned at Paperbacks and Prose.
Have you read Christopher, I can't think of Everything's Free?
No, I haven't read it. It's actually on my stack of
it's a brilliant book. I mean, I'd move it to the top of the stack, but I really liked it. And it changed my whole attitude about traditional books. So is genre fiction what sells best self-published?
Yes. Yes, definitely. But of course, genre fiction sells best whether it's self or traditional published. But there are self-publishers for textbooks and technical books. I've purchased some self-published books on programming languages that have been very good.
Right, and in fact, I have some of those too. I can't think of the guy's name, but it's where my Java books came from.
Yeah.
And never my favorite language. But that's a whole nother issue. That's a different subject. Maybe I'll have a book or a show on the program code. Who knows? Now, you're in many writing groups.
Yes.
And one in particular that I'm familiar with, and that's the Mitchellville Writers Group.
An excellent group.
I have, for the most part, I have loved it. We've been there about the same amount of time, actually. Most of those writers are self-published.
Yes. I know we have a new author who just joined the group who wants to go the traditional route. At least that's what she says now. But you're right, they're mostly self-published.
And are any of them making real money that you know of?
Oh, I don't know. We could probably check. We could look up Pam's book and see what her page rank is, because that can translate to that tells you how many books she's selling per day or per month.
That's Pam Vines, because
Yeah,
Pam
Vines.
Neal has a
Yeah, she hasn't published yet,
Oh,
but Pam
okay.
Vines has.
Yes, I remember.
And her book was #1 in African American fiction for a while.
Really?
Yeah, in that tiny category, African American fiction. But so she was not #1.
How many copies did she sell? Did you
I
know?
didn't look. I didn't look.
But you could just look
Yes,
that up.
absolutely.
That's the other nice thing about
Yeah.
self-publishing.
Yeah, because you know how much everybody is selling. For instance, I said if you're #1, you're selling more than 3,500 books a day. If you're #10, that's 2,000 books
That's
a day.
overall, not in
That's overall, not in categories. #10 is 2,000 books a day. #100 is 500 books a day. #1,000 is 80 books a day. #50,000 is 1 book a day.
Okay, now Amazon's a commercial website, so
Yep.
I can't mention their actual URLs to go look this stuff up, but it's
No.
easy to find on the Amazon
If they
website.
wanted to. Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure about
Yeah.
that.
Now there's a website you can mention because it's a non-profit website, I think, and well, I know it's non-profit, and that's AuthorEarnings.com.
AuthorEarnings.com. I hope everybody's got that. It's all one word, right?
Yeah, well, one word, AuthorEarnings.com, and because nobody had data. And nobody was sharing data. All the publishers aren't about to share their data with their competitors. Nobody knows how much authors were making until AuthorEarnings.com.
So this is a phenomena of electronic self-publishing.
Yes, it is. Hugh Howey, who was #1 for a while there on Amazon, he and a friend of his noticed that Amazon has more data than everybody, because they've got not only their own book data, but they've got data for Random House, Penguin, and all the others that they sell books for. So they've got all the data, but they don't share it, except they have to. Because if you go to their website, you'll see the name of the book, the author, the publisher, the price, and the page rank, the sales rank. So if you were able to...
So page rank is sales rank. That's
it translates to.
Okay.
Not exactly, but almost exactly. So what they did was they wrote a little software spider that leafed through all of Amazon's pages, downloaded the data, put it in a database, and then ran analysis on it. And then what they did was they published that analysis.
That's Author's Earnings.
Yes. And the raw data that they pulled down is also available on their website that you can download and do your own analysis if you feel like it.
Okay. Why is that important?
Because for the first time in history, it gives everybody an insight into how much all authors of every kind are making off their books. It allows you to distinguish the differences in profitability for authors between traditional and self-published. When they go there, they found that they found certain authors who are making over $1 million a year. Only 3 big 5 traditionally published authors are making over $1 million a year. Well, consistently over the last 5 years. However, 14 self-publishers have been doing the same thing.
14 as opposed to?
3.
3.
And that's $1 million each year over the last 5 years.
Are there any absolute numbers on which kind of publishers there are more of? Self-publishers or traditional?
Yes, there are some rough numbers. I don't know what those are, but yeah, by far self-publishers now outnumber self-published authors by far outnumber traditionally published authors.
Now, I remember when Amazon first hit the screens, I thought, oh, this is great stuff.
Yeah.
You know, but what are they going to do when books disappear?
Well, they still got ebooks.
Well, but they've also if it's sold in America, you can buy it on Amazon.
Yes.
And I find that to be astounding. And is that true with books? If a book's sold in America, can you buy it on Amazon?
Probably. For instance, if I wanted to, I could take some of my old books that I've got a stockpile of, and I could sell them on Amazon through the affiliate program.
Right.
So I've got some books that are out of print. I could sell them, make them available.
So you
on
could
Amazon.
make your own bookstore.
Yes. Amazon supports that.
And do they charge you for that?
Oh, sure. I mean, they take their cut, of course.
Oh, no, I understand they take their cut of the price of the book you sell.
Right.
It's probably half.
No, it's not that much, actually, for the affiliate program. It's
Okay. Well,
because it doesn't cost them anything to put it up on their website for you.
now I notice books that are on the Amazon website. I'm a Prime member. I think everybody these days has become a Prime member. I like to buy my books used.
I buy a good number used.
I mean, I don't care if it comes that afternoon, to be honest. It's so far down the reading list anyway that my wife is threatening to cut off my arms if I keep ordering things. But what they charge is, like the book's 5 cents.
Oh, yeah. And then $3.99 shipping.
Right. It's still way less than the Prime copy of the book new. But that they really have an interesting way to do it. Now, an interesting thing, and does this happen in the self-published market? Actually, I wanted to buy a textbook. I assume people are self-publishing textbooks now. But I was teaching an AP World History class, and I wanted the traditional text. A very good friend of mine teaches AP European history, and he sends all his kids to used book sites to buy the school. The school bookstore is very upset with them. To buy books. Well, I went looking for the most recommended world history textbook. You know, when I was finding them for $3, $5. Well, so I bought 17 of them from different publishers because they only had so many. All of a sudden, the price started skyrocketing.
Yeah. Because their automated robots look to see what's the best price for this book.
And whatever's selling,
And
they make it cost a little more until it stops selling.
Yep.
Well, anyway, I got a big kick out of that.
But if I can...
So could we ask, you don't have to tell us, how many copies has your book sold?
About under 200. I haven't checked in a while.
Okay. And that's for a prize winner.
Yeah. And
Gee,
that's for, but I've also done zero marketing of that book. And that's a failure I plan to correct soon.
Okay, so you're self-publishing, the people that make a bunch of money. One of the areas, at least from the emails you've sent out and the things I've noticed myself, people that make a lot of money write a lot of words.
Yes, and that's important. And it's important for two reasons. First of all, if you've got a dozen books out there, somebody might you've got a dozen chances to be discovered. If you've only got one book, you're relying entirely on that. But see, once they discover one of your books, if they decide they like it, the next thing they're going to say is, what else has this person written? And so all your other books have got a much higher chance of selling too. So that's one advantage of doing that. So yeah, you want to have a lot of books out there, and you want to market them. If you do all of that, you've got a very good chance of actually making some real money. And it's not just, I mean, I mentioned the self-published authors are making over $1 million. There's a lot of self-published authors we now know, thanks to author earnings. There's over 1,000 who are making 100 grand a year, over 1,000 who are making 50 grand a year, and almost 5,000 who are making 25 grand a year. And so you can make a living wage out there if you take the craft seriously, if you take all facets of it, including marketing, seriously, and if you write a decent book.
The other thing that I have noticed, well, it's a personal kind of, I don't want to call it prejudice, but favorability. I love the old pulp authors. H.P. Lovecraft, Edward R. Burroughs, the Tarzan guys, the horror stories, Rocky Jones in science fiction. Are there self-published pulpers out there now?
I'm not aware of any, but I would be surprised if there weren't. And if there aren't, there should be. So that's a marketing opportunity for somebody.
Well, as you know, now I like to write flash fiction. And my big question arises, is there much self-publishing flash fiction?
There is, and of course, 50 Shades of Grey started out that way.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, and there's a few others. Most flash fiction remains flash fiction, doesn't go anywhere, but it's an opportunity to get your work out there in front of a lot of eyeballs, and it increases the chance that people are going to read your writing, they're going to like it, and then they're going to ask the question you want them to ask: what else has this guy written?
Okay. Because there are a lot of flash magazine, digital flashers, that's what I call them, digital flashers out there that you can subscribe to. And they pay the writers.
And I haven't looked into that yet because I'm too focused on my own projects, but that's worth the time for other people to look into.
Okay. Another one of my favorite, it's still publishing, is Ellery Queen Mystery Magazine. And they had a recent issue where they were doing name authors who wrote mystery stories. And one of them was William Faulkner.
Oh.
And it was a great, great story. But those magazines are out there where they pay you for your fiction, if they accept it, of course. They don't, and they don't solicit. You just send it, and the flashers are 500. And there's actually a giant tradition of flash fiction in the world of fiction. They used to call them short shorts. Then they called them hot pants. Anyway, it's really hard to, but the biggest market of flash fiction is in China.
Oh, yes. I was in China a few years ago, and one of the things I found that really made me think was they really want to learn English. Everybody in China wants to learn English.
Right.
They don't want to learn Australian or British English. They want to learn American English. And they see a huge difference. There's a huge difference in their minds.
Really?
That's what I had multiple people tell me that. And they're very interested in American culture. So that's another opportunity for American writers.
Well, I've heard two issues about that. One, more people speak English in China than the rest of the world combined.
I don't know if that's true, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was.
How could it not be true? They have billions. We have hundreds of millions.
Yeah, but we've also got India, where English is a national language. There's 1 billion people there.
Well, actually, there's more than in China. 2020, they're surpassing the Chinese.
Yeah. And then you got Africa, which is mostly English speaking.
Well, and the internet
Yeah, and the internet.
Well, it may be the best form of cultural imperialism ever invented.
Thanks to British imperialism, Hollywood movies, and the internet, English is the world language.
What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Let's learn Spanish in our schools. Well, actually, we need to. My daughter married a guy from El Salvador, so Spanish has become very important to her. But anyway, so there is money to be made out there.
Yes, and not just for the top earners, also the mid-range earners. Like I mentioned, the mid-list people, they can make a living wage, 25, 50 grand.
Okay, we just have a few minutes left, and I'll bet we go into this much deeper when we do the series on self-publishing.
Yeah, Rashida, who hosts a seminar with me that has Rashida
Childress, right.
RC Creighton. We've hosted our seminar through the PG County Library System, and you've invited us to
right, and I have to get permission to do a 56-minute show as opposed to a 28, and I got to get the.
Well, we could break it. We could break it up into a little.
Well, I'd rather do two 56s rather than or a single 56.
We'd rather do that too, but.
And I'm
sure we can do it whatever works best for you guys.
Let's pretend it's Christmas time, and we're going to put the wrap on this.
All right. Thank
Three
you.
things, if you want to self-publish, you should do.
3 things you should do. Well, first, write a good book. Make sure it's well edited and clean copy.
Okay.
And
write a good book.
Write a good book. Put it up in both ebook and as a paperback through CreateSpace. Go through Amazon.
Put it in both forms.
Yes. And finally, make sure you market the book.
And the best way to market?
Oh,
the internet.
Yes.
And with that, let's send the present to the fans, and we're done for today. Thank you, Jim, and
Thank you.
Best wishes to Jim traveling.
Yeah.
I understand he's going off to rehab, and I'm glad to hear that. Bring on the board, Bowie. I'm ready.